Years ago, a great war raged for many years between the scientifically advanced empire and the sorcerer's kingdom. It brings enormous loss to the entire human race. And here is Iska, a 16-year-old boy who was the earliest ordained saint in human history, but is in prison for his actions a year ago. At that time, he released a young girl from the witch kingdom from prison while the witches were enemies of the empire. Thus, Iska committed a serious crime, deprived of all his positions and is currently in prison. Today, the rulers have released Iska. However, he will have to do a quest to clear the guilt. Iska must defeat a witch of royal blood, who is also a descendant of the most cruel witch in the world, Nebulis. She possesses ice-type magic and her strength can reach the threshold of natural disasters. In order for him to complete this quest, his two swords returned to their former party. That day, the whole team officially gathered other members. Thus, Task Force 907 converged after a year of Iska's imprisonment. They also learned that this mission was aimed at the Witch of the Frost catastrophe. However, due to a year in prison, the information about Iska is still unknown to witches. Although she knew that if she failed, she would end up in prison again, Iska's dream was to end the meaningless war. The group rested at an imperial nuclear reactor and continued on to the front line. But here, all were ambushed by witches even though this was still the land of the empire. Because a year without fighting, Nene helped Iska by firing anti-witch bullets. With just 2 slaps, Iska knocked out 2 commanders, and Jin also shot down the rest. Here, a golem also appeared along with a maid. The opponent was quite tough but Iska still cut off one of its arms and told everyone to go first. The maid was quite amazed at his skills and said that she would never let Iska meet her mistress. In just 5 seconds, he suppressed this girl and asked for the Ice Witch's whereabouts. But she would rather die than sell out her master. It was at this moment that the Ice Witch Alice appeared. She quickly froze the entire forest along with the reactor. Alice used 10,000 swords radially towards Iska but he activated the dual sword skill that blocked the countless blades that were aimed at him. He had successfully copied Alice's skill. Alice also wants to create a world of eternal peace, so she wants to completely defeat the empire. Both have a purpose but the ideals of both are very different. Alice always fell into Iska's arms. At night, Alice couldn't stop thinking about Iska, as if the two had fallen in love with each other. After that, Alice and Jin went to see the play in the neutral city. A few days later, they all had a special training session to improve their physical strength, and the person responsible for this training was Risya, an old acquaintance of the group. She also gave Iska a ticket to the art gallery. Alice also meets her mother and learns that their ancestor after fighting the Empire 100 years ago is still alive. There are actually 2 Nebulis, and the Empire doesn't know that they are twins, and the other is slowly waking up. It seems to be related to Alice's battle with Iska in the forest. Because the reason has not been found, her mother wants Alice not to go to war next time. Once again, Alice meets Iska. Iska asks Alice to go see the exhibition but the two are enemies so Alice refuses. In the end, the two went to see the exhibition together. The next day, Iska was suddenly called to the Senate and his superiors, seeing his strength, restored his sainthood. But because of the felony, he still had to arrest Alice, and this made Iska think so he took the next day's practice off to go to the talk. However, Mizmis wanted to go with her because she was very interested. Alice also learned that he was one of the most talented people in the world. But the reason that shocked her the most was that he had released a magician and ended up in jail. Her mother also appears, and when she learns of her daughter's interest in Iska, she recalls the feud of the Wizarding Kingdom. It was because of this that Alice wanted to go to the neutral city again. The next day, the two meet and Alice also asks why a year ago he released a witch. Iska says it's just a little girl but the Empire fears her power, and he doesn't like it. He also said that he wanted to arrest Alice so that the two sides could negotiate to end this war. But Alice said that wouldn't work because her mother had a deep grudge, so even if her daughter was arrested, she would not negotiate. Judge. However, Alice also admires Iska, which is why she wants him to join her, but before she can reply, the sky begins to darken. The ancestor of the Nebulis witches appeared. She immediately launched an attack on all, regardless of her descendants. After that attack, all survived, but Rin was mortally wounded in order to protect her master. Mizmis has brought her to the rescue and the other two will face the ancestor. And she said his two swords were what woke her up. It was Master Iska's sword, and when they saw Nebulis's darkness, they both shared the view that this era didn't need her. Because of this, the two want to bring Nebulis back to their dreams and the real battle begins. Because of being the ancestor, Nebulis can use many different systems at the same time, causing our friends to combine to resist. Alice also released a move to repel the original ancestor, but was hit by her black fire. Seeing that, Iska rushed forward as well thanks to Alice's ability to create a ladder of ice for him to approach. Alice covered Iska for the purpose of giving him a chance to fly up and take off the wings of Nebulis. She too fell into her slumber again, the sky cleared up again and Iska also refused to join Alice. A few days later, Mizmes is informed by Risya that there will be a difficult task coming up, so this time will be off. The next day Risya is entrusted with a mission that requires the strength of Mizmes's group. Even though she didn't want to, Risya agreed to pass the message to the group. She began to talk about the energy that would produce this powerful edema that would endanger the Empire. That's why Team 907 will be in charge of stopping this, and yes, the witches are targeting this as well. She went to see a young man named Mask, who advised Alice to be careful. Group 907 is present at the southern base and meets the 8th Saint, Nameless, an extremely arrogant guy. When Iska came to ask him, he considered him a traitor, sending him away. Even Mizmes asked about the captain's position and didn't know anything. Alice also makes it, and Mask also brings a girl named Kissing, who was Alice's childhood cousin but didn't recognize. And she seems to be even stronger than Alice. Outside the Mizmes group had seen vortex energy, but it seemed they weren't the first to see it. A group of 4 other people including Mizmes's friend Noro, but these are actually witches in full body. Mizmes was electrocuted by her, but Nameless was there to take them down. Noro also escaped with Mizmes. Nameless said he would destroy all witches even sacrificing Mizmes. By this time Mizmes had been brought to Alice and recognized the two. But Rin had already knocked Mizmes out rather than Mizmes would have told her about their last meeting. After Alice left, Iska's group arrived, and they broke in to save Mizmes. But when Iska saved her, Kissing suddenly appeared. Her power can swallow a nuclear missile. And Iska also realized that this was pure blood. The battle broke out soon after but Iska intercepted the first attack so Kissing released the missile earlier. Rin and Alice reached the base and met Nameless and the two sides also fought. And this name is also very strong making it difficult for Alice. She decided to use her true power to freeze completely, causing Nameless to run away. It was thought that Iska had disintegrated, but no, this caused Kissing to use his ultimate skill to create a corrosive worm to attack Iska. However, he knocked Kissing down but the mask teleported to stab him once but he dodged. Seeing that, he carried Kissing away and kicked Mizmes into the vortex to kill her with great strength. Seeing this, Iska rushed to save her and met Alice here. She made a condition to save both of them that next time they would duel. But just as she was about to break free, a sudden out-of-control energy source separated Alice from Iska. All was well and Iska also obtained a crystal shard. After all, Mizmes was also very sorry for being arrested. But something even crazier is about to happen. All must invade the Wizarding Kingdom and kidnap Queen Nebulis. This worried Iska and demanded to hear the plan. On this side, Rin and Alice have been waiting for Iska in the intermediate city for 3 days without meeting, so the two split up to look. Rin is concerned with another problem that Alice's throne is being stalked by the other sisters in the family. So Rin decided to cut off the fate between the two so that she could focus more on the future. Mizmes seems to have turned into a witch after jumping into the vortex, which causes her to collapse. And if someone finds out about this, she will be executed. The team also gives 2 options. Surrender to receive leniency or keep this secret and continue to lead the team. However, the next day Iska still had to take Mizmes to the neutral city to cover up the incident. At this moment, Alice comes and the two are quite surprised to see each other. The two also sat down together and when she knew he was in trouble, Alice also forced him to say it, but before he could say it, Rin came to break it. Mizmes unintentionally released a power that surprised Alice, but she was also restrained and Iska was captured. Then all knew about this and the king also allowed Risya to go save Iska. She gives the group of 907 the astral energy that turns a person into a witch for a week so that no one will notice. Jin was also quick to pretend to use it on Mizmes to trick Risya. And the plan is to break in to save Iska and then mess up the place to attract attention so that the rest of the army can kidnap Queen Nebulis. Iska still hasn't woken up, by the way Alice plays with his body. And this was the only enemy that made her forget about hatred. It turned out that being a strong warrior, Iska's body was also quite resistant to drugs, and he immediately looked down on Alice. The rescue team also passed the customs, ready to save you. Finally, Alice prepares him a room just like the two of them, and he will stay here until the two come up with something to torment Iska. However, Rin considers him a threat, so she cuts a line on his hand to blame him for doing it and then legally attacks. The 907 group was present, but the three didn't know if their superiors wanted to save Iska or something else. While talking, Alice came out of the shower, causing Iska to see the mark on her back. It was a trace curse of a lurking monster, that's what the Empire called it. That mark was also what made their battle drag on until now. And he did not fight for that mark, but for peace. The next day, Rissia contacted a monster that had been imprisoned here for 30 years. She also said that it was the king's idea and she would help him escape, in exchange for him to help invade and kidnap the current queen. Salinger was also arrested because of a fight with the queen 30 years ago, so a contract was made. Alice also tells about the most dangerous criminal here. Salinger has just been freed. Rin also comes to report the intruders, but the three of them are in prison. And Rissia also tells that a witch has just escaped and Iska is not here. Alice also learns that her mother's enemy has returned and immediately wants to stop it. But this was too dangerous a thing, so she spoke her mind and left a handkerchief and asked Iska to accept it. In order to escape from here, Mizmies revealed her identity to deceive the guards for the two brothers to fight. In the most critical moment, the two also defeated the guards and contacted Iska. They also explained the current situation to each other and Iska understood that Alice had left the key for him. He also understood everything and said he would be there right away. At this time, Rin and Alice also reached the battlefield and ordered the soldiers to do what they needed to do. Everyone also met Iska and handed over the sword to him and planned to leave. Rin also finds Salinger, but he doesn't care who she is because what he's aiming for is the queen's energy. Rin attacks, but his wind bending is too strong to be completely penetrated. She summons a golem to crush everything. Not only that, this guy can also use almost every element, which is also the power of steel from the queen. Rin was quickly defeated, but the will was still there, and when she was about to finish, Iska was there. He made a contract. If he defeated this guy, he would return safely with the group. The battle also started, but Iska easily slashed Salinger's moves, surprising him. It turned out that he had enhanced his senses to see the slightest vibrations and then charged into counterattack. However, the slash wasn't strong enough to overcome his magic. This name uses two different properties to create lava. Alice encountered Nameless, however, he did not fight and fled immediately. Alice also sees Iska fighting Salinger, and he uses fire and ice to create a bone-cold flame. Iska was also able to cut an element, but he was also hit by the explosion. Very quickly, Iska had returned, surprising him with how he was able to survive the move just now. Turns out, thanks to his sword, he copied the freezing skill so that he wouldn't burn himself. Seeing his strength, Salinger created a sandstorm with lightning to attack. Taking the opportunity, Iska rushed to attack and he also slashed the two swords that Salinger created, making him excited. The prison was also saved, and Iska said goodbye and returned with her team. In the Empire, it was surprising that Rissia was wearing Nameless's clothes again, and it seemed that she was hiding her true strength, and Team 907 was on their way back. However, Mizmies still hadn't come up with a way to hide her identity, so she was a bit confused. Rin also had a different view of Iska after he saved her life. Somewhere, one of Alice's brothers heard the story of the swordman Iska. This is an unbelievable coincidence and she would love to see you again. The next day, Rissia also comes to see the king and we see that the king is a beastman and not a human. Everything between Iska and Alice was in her hands. The third princess Sisbel has been called and the queen has sent her on a mission to Alsamira, an independent kingdom that is planning to join hands with the empire. Team 907 received an older sister named Michaela today, and she came to let everyone know how hard the team worked under someone's direction. Therefore, for the next 60 days, the group will be off from the task. Nene also suggested that the team go on vacation somewhere far away from the empire, and the place they chose was Alsamira. It seemed that Sisbel sensed something was about to happen to her mother and was extremely worried. However, everyone else didn't know about this, so she would protect the queen alone. Lord Mask welcomed Elatir, Alice's big sister. And she also talked about someone conspiring with the empire to stir up this place. When everyone returned, Iska met Sisbel. The two gazed at each other until Nene turned around and she was gone, and Sisbel was happy to have found the person she was looking for. She informed her butler and used her skills to find Iska. Alice at home was also called by mother to go to her sister's room, and Sisbel had left the key with the queen. She wanted to know what was wrong with her child and kept locking herself in her room. And when he walked in, he couldn't believe Sisbel knew about Iska. She also went to the hotel where Iska was staying, and was immediately pressed by him to ask which side he was on. She said she wanted to ask him to come to the Wizarding Kingdom with her. He also asked the reason and found out that she couldn't trust anyone anymore, and Sisbel also left a bracelet for Iska. Alice is shocked to learn that her and Rin's conversation may have been overheard, so Rin proposes to the Queen for Alice to visit Sisbel to clarify something she is plotting. The Empire faction is planning to capture Sisbel, and her sister has also asked Lord Mask to do something about a younger brother who is plotting to betray her. Because she doesn't want the group to get involved, Iska decides to change places to rest, and Jin also invites Mizmies to the central market to find items that can disguise the identity of the witch. There he also meets Sisbel again and is told about his clairvoyance. She also revealed her true identity as one of the heirs. Sisbel says someone is watching the Queen and this person is not on the side of the witch. If the Queen dies, this will cause a war that will cause both sides to fall. Only Sisbel knows this truth, so she wants Iska to stand up for her because she has no one left to trust. She will try to destroy the other force so that both of their dreams of ending the war can be fulfilled. Indeed, Lord Mask was here right now to conclude that Sisbel was a traitor. She also ran away immediately, but another monster created by the Empire was there to surround her. Jin also noticed something unusual from Iska before, so he was here too. The other machine also scanned the witch's power from Mizmies and it also began its hunt. This is an independent country, so whoever loses will bear the full responsibility. In order for the monster not to send data back, Nene wanted Iska to hold it for a while. This child's body is also very hard as it can withstand any damage from him. And Sisbel was also very emotional when he stood up to defend himself. Nene was also finished at this time, and she also launched a rocket to paralyze the monster but did not know if it could erase the data or not. Jin and Mizmies also faced Lord Mask, but this guy was too strong for a sniper like him, so they were both in danger. When they were about to finish off, Mizmies's power was revealed, causing the others to be powerless. Jin also unleashed a blow that shattered his mask, ending the fight. Iska also had trouble as the monster had a backup power source and Nene realized the light it produced was celestial energy. Everything in its path was wiped out and Nene's attack was useless. Seeing that, he asked her to gather with Jin's group to evacuate the people. He also rushed to attack and was helped by Sisbel to distract it and let him finish. However, the spirit inside the monster captured Sisbel. At that moment, Alice was there to lend him a hand. However, the celestial spirit's power was too great to completely repel them, and then it also unleashed its move, causing Alice's 100 blooming flowers to shatter. And yet, it created rays of destruction that shot towards the two of them. Once again the pair coordinated to approach the celestial spirit and both unleashed their ultimates straight at it. After the blow just now its body has completely dissolved, and the victory belongs to our couple. Sisbel also woke up and asked about the relationship between the two, only to receive a lie from Alice. They are also resting peacefully to prepare for what is about to happen to them. Alice and Iska don't meet sometimes, and she wants him to keep the fact that they know each other from everyone. The video ends here. Thank you very much for watching. If you find this video good, don't hesitate to leave me a like as well as subscribe to give me more motivation to make more videos. Hello and see you in the next videos.